And another edition of Oxford News This Week on the way. With the shooter's plea, what impact will that have on the parents' upcoming case? A gem in Oxford, and those stories and sports on the special edition of Oxford News This Week. Welcome back to Oxford News This Week. The parents of the 16-year-old mass shooter were in court this past Friday for a hearing on whether the Oakland County prosecutor can call witness experts to testify about the mass shooter's path to violence that took place before the start of the shooting. In trying both the Crumbly parents, prosecutors want to connect the inaction of James and Jennifer to their son's decision to bring a gun to school. Both defendants have fought the charges and asked them to be thrown out, arguing they couldn't have known that their son was planning on this event. But during the shooter's plea hearing this last week, the teen was asked to buy the gun. He supplied the money to his dad to buy the gun for the gun that was used in the initial crime, going so far as to pick it out. Ethan also admitted the gun was not secured when he took it to the school. The prosecution wants to use testimony that argues that the shooter's pathway to violence followed multiple stages instead of the teen snapping and committing mass murder. The defense is fighting the allowance of the expert testimony. An expert witness at the court proceedings that has studied mass shootings since 1966 said that shooters don't just snap. Her concern, there are signs that led up to the shooting, including agitation, isolation, and abusive behavior. Prosecutors in the case say the Oxford High School shooter exhibited all of those signs that the parents could have picked up on. The courtroom was packed for that hearing the same day that their son pleaded guilty to all charges on the November 30th shooting. There were 18 more bullets that might have affected 18 more victims. Oakland County Sheriff's deputies and other law enforcement reacted quickly, as they did after the 15-year-old sophomore again opened fire. Classmates and the staff of the Oxford High School, again, this is coming up on a year now. According to Sheriff Michael J. Bouchard, the first calls that came in at 9/11, this is all part of the FOA that has been released after the confession. About 12:49 p.m. and then 12:52, deputies were dispatched to the school. Two deputies came around the corner at the hallway inside the school with the M4 carbine rifles. They faced the shooter. The teen immediately knelt to the ground and gave up after taking the assailant into custody, and when they did, he had 18 bullets left. In related story, last week's rumors of circulating about shooting at the middle school, so the district shooting could take place at the Oxford Middle School. The district decided to increase police presence at that school on Thursday. According to the school district, they greeted students at the door and checked all belongings before going in to the middle school. October brought out some family, friends of all ages in Oxford with the Jack-O-Lantern Jamboree, which actually took place at the Seymour Lake Park in downtown area, with witches invading their annual night out. OCTV wraps up the coverage of the seasonal event. We're highlighted by Lauren Smith, supervisor of Oxford Township Parks and Rec, and Kelly Westbrook of the Downtown Development Authority.
Hello from Seymour Lake Township Park. We're out here. It's October 19th. The rain and the snow have held off, so we are out here with our Jack-O-Lantern Jamboree. We've got 10 houses scattered around the perimeter of the Laidler Pavilion. Each child that's pre-registered will go trick-or-treating to each house. We've got trinkets and treats and snacks. And then at the end, they get to visit our pumpkin patch and pick out a pumpkin. We have some donuts, some juice, some water, and just a good time for family and friends to come out in a safe environment to trick-or-treat.
So we are here in downtown Oxford for our annual Witches Night, and it's only 5:30 and we've already had over 400 witches come through to grab their swag bags and head downtown The great news about today is that Lake Orion partnered together with us on this event. So the trolley is running till 11 p.m. tonight. So we have Witches Night going on in both downtowns. All of the restaurants, the retail are open and they're ready for the witches to come in and either shop or dine. In Washington Square, we have the Real Men Wear Pink, so we're donating for breast cancer. We have a DJ there. We have lights up so that you can dance and just hang out.
Lauren Smith and Kelly Westbrook. Both events were a huge success and welcome to be bringing the Wildcat community together during this Halloween season. One of the gems of Northeast in the north part of Oakland County is the Northeast Oakland County Historical Society. The communities in and around the Addison, Oxford, and Orion Township. The Historical Museum, located again at the northwest corner of Washington and Burdick Streets in downtown Oxford. The museum, again, is 50 years old this year and is operated by the Northeast Oakland Historical Society. And the building, the old Oxford Savings Bank, it turned 100 this past year. Oxford Savings Bank operated the building from 1922 through 1966. Drew Holt holding up a chamber pot that kept his imagination going since he first saw it on tour when he was in second grade. The story is back in the day, chamber pots had to be dollied around with a lid. So again, if you were to get up late at night, there was no indoor plumbing. People would then use the chamber pot. Again, Oxford Historical Museum has one right there for display. Again, you can check that out when you do visit the museum. There are other museum artifacts there, thousands of items ranging from old maps, photos, newspapers, articles, antique quilts, farm tools, displayed in the Victorian parlor, a bedroom, and a music section containing a square grand piano and a player piano. There are displays of the old fire department tools that were used back then, uniforms, a display actually on the Radio Lone Ranger, Brace Beamer, who actually resided in Oxford Township. There's also in the lower level of the museum displays, tools, historical items from the community from around the turn of the century, 1900. They also have an old potbelly wooden stove from Oxford, a train that was originally at the train depot, the old-fashioned crank phone, and at the turn of the century again, the typewriter that writers would have used back in the 1900s. Members of the Northeast Oakland Historical Society catalog items, and they go through the old newspaper articles, keeping their eyes and ears open for new donations. They give tours for that, the elementary students as well as other groups. Susan Bizzardi and Daryl Lambertson. His favorite item came from the cyclone back in 1896. The museum has a newspaper article on the tornado, which wiped the towns out of Oakwood and Thomas, as well as artifacts like metal cancellation stamp from the Oakwood post office. The cancellation stamp was dated back May 25th, the day of the cyclone hit. It was found many years later in a farmer's field. Sue Bizzardi has come over these in boxes and boxes that have been accumulated there. Oxford Leader clippings are there as well. The family then connected the Historical Society in 1993 with paintings as they made their way to the museum. Not only in the Historical Society on the lookout, the new items also on display. They're also looking for new members and volunteers to join. To join the society, it only costs $15. Feel free to check their website out, oxfordmuseum.org. The museum is opened on Thursdays and Saturdays from 1 to 4 p.m. We do have a gem here in Oxford with all that history at the corner. Paving day at the new farmers market. Workers from the Oxford-based Birmingham Seal Coat were busy installing the semicircular driveway in front of the new 4,000 square foot farmers market pavilion in Seymour Lake Park. The asphalt driveway will facilitate vendors' loading and unloading activities while providing a safe and convenient area for dropping and picking off patrons and mobility issues. The $100,000 grant from Oakland County Parks and Rec made the project possible. The market is set to open in spring of 2023. Oxford Township Parks and Rec will operate the new farmers market. The goal is to make fresh, nutritious, locally grown food more accessible, promote the strength in local farms and businesses by giving consumers a convenient, centralized place to purchase their products, foster a sense of community, providing a festive place to shop, socialize, and forge relationships. Provide another outlet for distributing free, fresh produce harvested from Oxford's community garden. to people experiencing food insecurity. Oxford Township's Farmers Market is expected to become a place brimming with life, bustling with activity. It should represent the very best part of Oxford. Clear Lake Lakers plant pollinator garden. That was coming up this past week on the Saturday at Clear Lake Elementary School. The green team planted a pollinator garden adjacent to the community garden in Seymour on the Seymour Lake Park property. Students and parents planted bee balm, blazing star, black-eyed Susan, swamp milkweed, false sunflower, cardinal flower, yellow cone flower, aster lupine, butterfly weed, purple cornflower, queen of the prairie, bonus, and joy piedweed. Now, if I was a green thumb, I'd probably know what all that was. Pollinator gardens support and maintain pollinators, bees, butterflies, and hummingbirds by supplying them with the food to form pollen and nectar. I guess I just found out. Hats off to the following volunteers for creating such a great, fantastic new addition to the Seymour Lake Township Park: the Oxford Community Garden, Daniel Corrigan, Prue Cook, Colton Wallace, Lanton Wallace, Brendan Wallace, Samantha Wallace. I got to imagine they're all family. Leo Bognesi and Lori Bognesi, Maria Epps, Michael Menger, and Johnny and Jesse Antonu. Again, thank you for all your efforts in getting that pollinator garden out there. With that, we're going to take a break. Dave Kenny will have a few segments. I'll have sports. I'll close it all out. You are watching another edition here of Oxford News This Week. We'll be right back.
Welcome to this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and this story is taken from Automotive News. The exclusive club of pickup trucks sporting a six-figure price tag is getting a new member. The $107,000 GMC Sierra EV Denali Edition 1 arrives just over a year from now. The first of three planned trim levels, the Sierra EV Edition 1 is powered by a pair of electric motors for a rating of 754 horsepower. The pickup will have a range of 400 miles, towing capability of 9,500 pounds, and a brisk 0 to 60 mile per hour time of just 4.5 seconds, GMC says. And like the GMC Hummer EV, the Sierra EV Denali Edition 1 will be able to do the crab walk. Sorry, I can't have a picture of that. The top-of-the-line Denali brings a laundry list of luxury, safety, and convenience features, including quilted seats, real wood trim, and 3 screens, including one for the heads-up display. The Super Cruise hands-free driving system will be configured for trailer towing. The truck can power a house or recharge another vehicle, such as a Chevrolet Bolt. Its 350 kilowatt charging system can inject 100 miles of range into the Ultium batteries in 10 minutes, GM says. Following the debut of the Sierra EV Denali Edition 1 pickup in the early 2024, GMC will flesh out the lineup with 2 additional models, the entry-level Elevation and the off-road oriented AT4 in early 2025. Duncan Aldred, Global Vice President of Buick and GMC, said at a media preview for the Sierra EV Denali that the Elevation model will have a starting sticker price of around $50,000. Aldred also said GMC's marketing plan for the Sierra EV Denali Edition 1 will offer first dibs to the truck to current GMC Denali pickup and SUV owners. The strategy also addresses manufacturing constraints with the truck. It will be built in very limited numbers at General Motors, that is, Factory Zero plant in Detroit, as it ramps up output for a broad array of electric vehicles. These include the Chevrolet Silverado EV, GMC Hummer pickup and utility, GMC pickups and Cruise Origin delivery vehicle. On this one, we are going to try a different tactic, Aldred said. We'll invite our Denali owners to a private showing and to reserve one, and then open it up to public reservations in a limited number. GMC wants to avoid the situation it faced with the Hummer EV orders, he says, in which so many reservations were placed, about 90,000, that the lead times for the vehicles got too long. Aldred would not give a specific production number for the Edition 1, but said it would be less than 10,000 units. As with competitive electric trucks, the Sierra EV Denali pickup sports a front-opening frunk, that's frunk, folks, with an F, for storage, but this one is power-operated and features 2 drains for wet items such as scuba gear, ice bags, and coolers. The body of the Sierra EV Denali Edition 1 has 2 other novel features, including a mid-gate design that extends the rear bed to inside the vehicle. The rear section of the cab folds forward and flat, increasing the bed from 5 feet 11 inches to more than 9 feet, enabling an object, such as a surfboard, to fit in the bed. Unlike other trucks, there is no visible seam on the side of the body separating cab from bed. It's hidden in a trim applique. GMC is not concerned about the 6-figure window sticker of the Sierra EV Denali Edition 1. According to GMC, the average price paid for a light-duty Sierra pickup is $65,000. Well, that's it for this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television.
Back with you with sports, and we touched on this last week. Again, Oxford finished with a losing their final game. The Fates were, again, not on Oxford's varsity football team side this year. Again, a lot of spirit in all the contests they attended, but the team will definitely have to forge and get better. Last Friday, again, they ended their season with a 34-14 loss, a non-conference opponent at Chippewa Valley. The loss again dropped the Wildcats to 1-8 overall, 0-5 in the OAA Red. Chippewa Valley improved their record 7-2 overall. Again, the Big Reds took the 20-0 lead at the halftime, and then the third quarter, senior running back Cameron Jarrett put Oxford on the scoreboard with a 30-yard scamper and to make the score 20-6. Junior Jay Cady, he booted one the last few points in the quarter. With 12 minutes left in the game, Chippewa pushed their lead to 27-7. They scored again about 7 minutes later, making it 34-7. And then under a minute left, Wildcat junior quarterback Benjamin Brewski, who we've seen that whole junior line do really well, connected on a 4-yard pass to senior running back Logan Marshall. Katie ended up all scoring and making the extra point. Again, probably not a winning season on paper, but in spirit alone, that Oxford football team showed a lot of it. The Oxford girls cross country team dominated the field in the OAA Red Cross Country Championships on Thursday, placing their runners at the top 5, secure to win. The boys team finished second overall in a 5K race at Clintonwood Park in Independence Township. Both teams will next compete in Michigan's High School Athletic Association Lower Peninsula Division I, Region 8-1 on Saturday at Hathaway Park in Waterford Township. The Oxford girls have dominated the OAA Red for the past 2 years, continually placing multiple runners on top 10. According to boys cross country, Clarkston won the OAA Red with cross country championship of 31 points, with the Wildcats taking second place and edging out Troy High School in the tiebreaker. Both teams finished at 64. Rochester Adams was fourth at 90. Lake Orion with fifth at 94. Birmingham Seaholm finished with 164 points. And that wraps it up in sports. I'll be back to close it all out. I believe Dave Kenny has another segment. We'll come back and say goodbye in just a little bit. Stay there. You're watching Oxford News This Week.
Welcome to Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and this story is taken from New Scientist. A growing number of ships are blowing bubbles beneath their hulls to improve fuel efficiency and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. By adding a layer of air underneath a vessel, you reduce the friction of the hull, says Frode Lundstein Hansen, co-founder of Marine Performance Systems, a company in the Netherlands that designs such systems. The idea is known as air lubrication and has been around since the 19th century. But it is only recently that it has attracted interest among commercial shipping operators amidst growing pressure to reduce emissions. Shipping is responsible for about 3% of annual global emissions. 4 years ago, just a few dozen ships had air lubrication systems installed, including cruise ships, natural gas tankers, and container ships. Today, 78 large vessels have air lubrication systems, and at least 155 are set to be installed over the next few years, according to Stephen Gordon at Clarkson's Research in London, a shipping and analytics firm. Most of those contracts to design and install the systems are with UK-based system company Silverstream Technology. Noah Silberschmidt, the company's CEO, points to new regulations driving the demand, such as minimum energy efficiency standards set by the International Maritime Organization. He says air lubrication is also attractive because it is compatible with any type of fuel and, unlike some other green shipping technologies, is ready to go now. The high price of shipping fuel is also a factor. Air lubrication systems work by injecting microbubbles smaller than 2 millimeters in diameter into a thin, continuous layer that flows along a ship's underside, with different companies varying on how exactly they do it. Marine Performance Systems injects bubbles through narrow bands installed at regular intervals under the ship. Silverstream's system involves a series of openings arranged in an arrow shape along the front of the hull. Silberschmidt says cruise ships and container ships see about a 5% improvement in fuel efficiency from their air lubrication system, while larger tankers see savings of about 8%. Simo Makiharju at the University of California, Berkeley, says similar savings have been measured in laboratory and real-world tests on other systems, although the efficiency improvement can drop when bubbles escape in rough seas. He says air lubrication has a role in decarbonizing shipping, though the emissions reductions are small compared to more comprehensive changes like powering ships with zero-emission fuels. Makiharju says fuel efficiency could be improved by as much as 16% if air lubrication was used in combination with super hydrophobic coatings that repel water. Shipbuilders in China, Japan, and Korea have also started installing air lubrication systems, including Hyundai Heavy Industries, Daewoo Shipbuilding and Marine Engineering, and Samsung Heavy Industries. Maersk, a major player in shipping, is testing out Silverstream's air lubrication systems on one ship, and the Mediterranean Shipping Company has ordered systems for around 50 new container ships. Of the roughly 100,000 large ships in the world, about 20,000 are both big and new enough to be retrofitted with air lubrication, and more could be added to new builds, says Silberschmidt. We are expecting air lubrication to become the standard in shipping, he says. Well, that's it for this edition of Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny.
That again will wrap up another edition of Oxford News this week. We want to again thank Dave Kenny for his efforts with Auto Talk and Science in the News. OCTV can be viewed on Spectrum Charter, Channel 191, Channel 99, ATT Universe, YouTube, Rumble, and Facebook's folks can even watch by downloading that Roku app and watch OCTV programming there. OCTV is also available to local groups producing public service announcements. If you have a show idea, maybe you want to volunteer, give their office a call. Give our office a call, 248-628-9658. Thanks to producer-director, of course, Kyle Snage, also videographer Al Campbell. Want to thank also the editor, Kyle Snage, program director Connie Miller, station manager Terry Stiles. For everyone here at OCTV, I'm Jim Hughes, hoping you have a safe week. I invite you back next time when we take a look at Oxford News This Week.